Welcome back, everyone. This week, I want to talk about human behavior and what to expect from other people. Not all people, but enough people. Revolving around the story of how Rosatom stopped uranium exports to the USA. At least that's the story. And the interesting thing is, that's the story told by many people until the opposite story was told. For those of you who don't know, allegedly, because I've not seen any photographic evidence, but enough people said it, so I believe it to be true, Rosatom reported in a telegram message that they had stopped uranium exports to the USA due to inability to get insurance. So we'll just go through a couple of these reputable appeal to authority type companies to show that it wasn't just some dummy on Twitter saying stuff. So Forbes, Rosatom stopped uranium exports to the USA. Rosatom stopped the export of uranium from Russia to the United States due to lack of insurance coverage. The State Corporation's publication reported Russia was the largest supplier of enriched uranium to the country, according to foreign trade statistics for 2022 and 7 months of 2023. Rosatom has stopped the export of uranium from the ports of St. Petersburg to the United States, the State Corporation's publication reports on its Telegram channel. Then, they report information about the suspension of uranium exports from Russia does not correspond to reality, Rosatom reports. Earlier, the corporation's publication reported that the export of nuclear fuels from the ports of St. Petersburg to the United States has been stopped due to lack of insurance coverage. Updated. The headline and texts of the news have been corrected due to Rosatom's denial. Initially, the corporation's publication in its Telegram channel reported the suspension of uranium exports from the ports of St. Petersburg to the United States due to the lack of insurance coverage. Soon, the original post was deleted and Rosatom denied the information. Now, this is interesting because you would think, and this is not how most people work most of the time, including myself, that you would think, though, that Forbes published this because they had information on it. But then you could say, well, what's information? Like, they published the article. They published this article, Rosatom stopped uranium exports to the USA. And you could say, what information did they go off of to report that? Because just because Rosatom comes out and says and denies it doesn't mean that didn't happen. So then your next report would be like, Rosatom denies it. But like, we're not redacting anything. We're not adjusting anything. That's what it said. We're reporting on what it said. So what Forbes is admitting here is, yeah, we actually didn't see it either. Now, I'm not sure if that's true or not. Maybe because I'm almost confident that somebody somewhere has screenshotted that initial Rosatom telegram and the people in the know about it. They've seen it. But for people like me, I'm not going to see that. Most of us are not going to see that screenshot. I imagine it's floating around there. So Bloomberg did the same thing. I'm not going to read it, but same idea. And then they redact it. So I realize this issue, like I said, this is primarily about human dynamics. I mean, if you're just watching the sensationalism around uranium, it's done. Okay? Like, you can stop watching. So with that out of the way, like Rosatom said, they allegedly said something on a telegram, then they denied it, and now here we are. So with that out of the way, I noticed a few years ago that I can't remember how it came to my attention, but it was around some company, some stock, and like 5 different people. Now, I have to be mindful of my echo chamber, but 5 different people said something about a stock. I can't remember the stock or the people, and I was like, that's interesting. And then I realized They all got their information from the same source. So here I am thinking, wow, 5 respectable individuals are all talking positive things about this stock or about this news event. And then I realized they sound exactly like each other. There's no differentiated opinion. And sometimes the facts are the facts and the opinion or the conclusion's obvious. So there really shouldn't be any differentiated take. But what I realized is they all got the same information that they were regurgitating from, I believe it might have been the Wall Street Journal. And then I realized, like, everybody sourced their information from the same thing. So here I am thinking 5 people said something, it must be true, when in reality, one institution said something, and they're all just repeating it back to me. And I thought that was really interesting, and that's worthwhile. So that came to mind because here's more. This is the Russian RNA publication publishing it. And then some more. And then more information. So, I mean, a lot of reputable sources said this. And then Twitter. So, I mean, if the reputable sources posted about it, then why would the Twitter crowd not go for it? And interestingly enough, really no one in my echo chamber, no one I really followed, mentioned it. For one reason or the other, I don't know. And a couple of them brought it up. Was like, hey, I see this news floating around. Don't know if it's true. Do any of y'all know if it's true? And then sure enough, they then updated and said, hey, wasn't true. Or it's at least been denied. And so I thought it was a good time, both because I was curious as to the accuracy of the information, so I wanted the source of the information, but I thought it would make a good, this is reality more so than not, I thought it would make a good social experiment. I've never really go about being that guy who says, cite your source, cite your source. But I thought this would be fun because, and the reason is I was legitimately curious as to the source. Because when I first saw it mentioned on Twitter at roughly 8 a.m., let's call it, Midwestern time, I saw it, so I immediately went to Google and typed in varying search phrases like Russia has stopped exporting uranium to the U.S. due to lack of insurance coverage. Put that in the Google search bar. Nothing. News, nothing. Put it on Twitter. Type in Rosatom and search that and see what people are saying. And it's like, I see no confirmation of this. Even the Bloomberg and the Forbes articles didn't pop up initially. I'm like, I couldn't find anything. So the only thing I thought to do was ask these people for what the source was. At least tell me what it was, even if you don't provide me a link or whatever. It's like, at least tell me so I can make the discretionary judgment on my own as to the validity of the statement. And what I came to find out was something I already understood about people and knew. And it's nothing positive, really. So I asked this individual, I think I said something like, please cite the source. I said the same thing to all the people I contacted. Only a few examples show up here. And so they said, Russia has stopped exporting uranium to the U.S. due to lack of insurance coverage, writes Rosatom. Then they say, we will update when it's confirmed. Because I said, would you cite the source? And then they say, we will update it when it's confirmed. So now here they are posting information that's not confirmed. That's called, gossip. And yet again, gossip is newsworthy because there's a probability that gossip is true. And if you hear the truthful gossip before it becomes a statement of fact and is confirmed, then you can get a tactical advantage. Just like hearing some gossip about what a company might do and then you acting on it can be called insider trading. So gossip can be very valuable. And so I asked them to cite the source, and then they say we will update when it's confirmed. And my reply was, if Rosatom has written it, then how could it not be confirmed? The evidence would be in the writing which you read, right? Of course, they didn't reply, but they did like my post. And so what that is an admittance that they actually haven't seen any information. So, and that's a common theme here is, earlier, I mentioned how 5 different analysts or people all said, fund managers, all said something positive about a stock, but then I realized that they're just regurgitating the Wall Street Journal they read that morning. Well, the same thing here. I see dozens and dozens of posts talking about Rosatom stopping the exporting of uranium. So, it must be true. Dozens and dozens of different individual sources that are definitely not in my echo chamber, not all of them at least, are citing this. It must be true. And yeah, I can't find any of it on my own. I can't even find out what the source was initially. And then, here's another example. I said, please reference your source. They said, Rosatom is the source, as many others also writes now. And then I said, but where's the publication or press release at? I can't find it. And then they say, please take a look at my latest post. It was on Telegram, but seems to have been deleted after published. Okay, so that was once the information started rolling out about, like, I don't know if they initially knew where the source was. They made a comment. Oh yeah, here we go. Uranium, here we go again. Big news today. Russia has stopped exporting uranium to the U.S. due to lack of insurance coverage, writes Rosatom. The real squeeze is coming soon. There's no source there. There's not even a source to a secondary source. It's like Rosatom said something that somebody read, and that somebody who read something then told a publicist, and then that publicist told the news writer, and it's like, that's honestly how information works, so I don't want to criticize it too much, but please understand, source your information. And yet again, it was on Telegram, but seems to have been deleted after published. Rosatom is the source, as many others also writes now. It's like, so Rosatom's the source. It's like, could you not provide me a link? Like, listen to the reasoning here. I say, please reference your source. You say Rosatom. Okay, but like, where? Like, were they on the news talking? Were they doing an interview? Is this at a conference? Like, is this an internal memo? Like where is the information? Rosatom's the information. Which is to say, some source named Rosatom that many people have confirmed, because this is peer group or third-party confirmation and peer validation, and it's the consensus because enough, especially reputable sources, have published it. So therefore, I can say something vague and ambiguous, although still explicit and specific, as a company. A company said something. It's like, was it a conference call? Was it on the 10K? A special filing? Like, where? That they don't know. Then this is an interesting one. Yet again, Russia will halt export of uranium to US. I say, please reference your source. And then they say, I don't use shady sources. I have almost impeccable record. I can't say who just popped up because it'll come back on again. So if you saw that, nothing happened. So they say, well, I won't say it again because I don't want that to happen again. They have an impeccable record and their sources are not shady. So no one said it was. Like, I was just asking, I don't want to say just asking, but I'm asking for the source. That's called defensiveness. Then someone else says, Quakes 99, big uranium figurehead in the Twitter space. Tons of good information. Follow them if you don't. Says, think this is true? And then this individual says, this is as official as it possibly can get since it comes from Sputnik Iran Media, Telegram channel, which is the official Sputnik channel in Farsi. Now, notice the distinction between those, the question and the answer. One person said, is something true? And then the other person says it's official. Now, official doesn't mean true. Now, in people's everyday lazy speech, it does. But then that's why people get things wrong all the time. And, well, couples are always bickering back and forth and so on and so forth is due to their inability to articulate ideas. So just remember that most propaganda, which is false information, quite often, comes from the most official of all sources, known as the government. Like, it's probably worth remembering. And this kind of defensiveness, still without providing the source. I mean, I guess Sputnik channel in Farsi is, he's now sourced it. It's like, well, hey man, can you like do a person a favor? Like, you want to make a whole post and have your little bullet points and flags and a nice big picture on there? Like, is it too much to ask to link to a source? I mean, seriously. Then, this is more of that group permissibility, because it's the consensus. If other people are doing it, then it's okay, because I didn't do what they also didn't do, which is source my information. I just went with it and ran because everybody's so eager to start posting stuff. So they say, well, to be fair to people, even Russian MSM mainstream media were reporting it. RIA, one of them, citing Rosatom documents. Western media reported it also. I'm guessing or multiple people were giving them a hard time for putting out information that was then redacted and taken away and deleted. Russians stopped uranium exports to the U.S. due to lack of insurance coverage. That's what they posted. And then they also say it has been denied now. RIA first reported it, citing Rosatom docs. Western media reported it also, which is to say, hey, don't hold me accountable for the information I post if other people post it too, and then it becomes a status quo. Or it's like, hey man, we all were duped. Calm down. But yet again, the problem is the majority of these people don't even know. They read it. Just imagine this slide presentation. And the last slide saw the second to last slide, so they posted. And then the second to last slide saw the third to last slide and said, oh, okay, post it. And that's what most people do. They see something and then they immediately run out there. They don't fact check it. They don't confirm it. They don't do anything. And then they just post wrong information. And when they do that, they do like this person does and just deletes their post. And that's another problem of the pathologies and misleadings of the internet. Just imagine if a person 1 out of every 20 times gave you wrong information. Just wrong information. 1 out of 100, just make a number. And then over time, you'd be like, yeah, sometimes they give me the wrong information. Maybe most of the time they do, maybe they don't. But just imagine each time I gave you wrong information, I could then just delete it from your memory. And then I can say, look at my track record. I've never been wrong about everything. I'm not accusing this account of that. I have no idea who this account is. I just know they deleted it. And that's the fascinating thing about it all. Is after a while you say, I have an impeccable account, or I have an impeccable track record. And yet again, I'm not accusing that account either of this, but it's like, well, yeah, that's easy to do when you just delete stuff. And you whitewash things, and then there's an inaccurate accounting of your discretion. So that's another problem. Then I found this also interesting. This is just lazy. And I also use it as confirmation for my other allegations as to how these people aren't even trying to cite the source. They see Forbes publishes something, they go immediately to Twitter, typity type, publish. And then they say, oh, my bad. It's like, see, so what happened here? 45 minutes ago in time, just pretend 45 minutes ago in time, this individual says, it doesn't matter who the individual is, this is just a timestamp. 45 minutes ago, this individual says, Rosatom says it hasn't halted exports of uranium. So now the information's out there. Bloomberg's getting it out there. Forbes is getting it out there. Sites are getting it out there, saying, hey, Rosatom says that's not true in one form or the other. So now information was put out there, then that information was taken back. And then after the time that the information's taken back, people are still posting. So 45 minutes ago, it's posted at minimum that the Rosatom halt isn't true. Then 6 minutes after that, here someone is propagating the information of Russians stopped transporting uranium to the United States due to lack of insurance coverage. So at least 6 minutes after, for sure, it's been published that that's not true, someone publishes that misinformation now. And then they take another 15 minutes to then update themselves. And you could say, well, we're only talking a few minutes. In which I would say fair enough. So here we have at 1:19 p.m. Remember, I said this information was kind of going around at around 8 a.m. So 6 hours later, I guess that'd be 5 or 6 hours later, it says, just in, Russia has stopped uranium exports to the United States. So definitely I would say 4 to 5 hours after it was denied and confirmed to be denied and publicized that it was being redacted and said it's not true and all that stuff. Hours later, 4 or 5 hours later, someone says, just in, Russia has stopped uranium exports to the United States. It's like, I wonder what this person's due diligence process is. And I use this slide and the one before as confirmation that you really got to watch out for that information. And I guess just in doesn't mean developing. Like just in, oh, it must be just in because it's a new development. Yet again, that's the bastardization of speech. They're not synonymous. Especially when people are willing to co-opt and manipulate and utilize it to their own flattering benefit. So, not just in. Like, that's old news. Like, that would already be priced in. It was priced into the market and then priced out of the market by the time just in. Like, not just in. So, with that out of the way, my weekly portfolio review. Up like 1 point something % this week. Better than I thought I'd be. I'd say that has a lot to do with my TMV position. And then Tidewater was up like 8% this week. Uranium's kind of looking maybe a little tired. Maybe not, but it's doing well. And just large position sizes carrying my portfolio while my underperformers are a smaller percentage of my portfolio and things are working out. And I don't really have anything to add to this. I mean, there's things I could say, but I've said enough and I'm trying to keep this video shorter. And so, yeah, with that out of the way, it seems last I checked that perhaps, now you could get me here, the government shutdown might not happen, even though people were thinking maybe it would. At the moment, it's looking optimistic. Of course, I'm recording this Saturday afternoon. Looking optimistic, they say. See what happens. I don't know. Don't care. It'd be kind of nice people get to, they're on vacation and stuff. Gotta keep the national parks open for the families on vacation during the beautiful late summer and early fall. Anyhow, I think I'm done this week. Thank you for watching. Until next time.